Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanov. About a month back, I had Florencia Cuenca on the show talking about her concert. And she's been quite busy. And she and her husband, Jaime Lozano, have a new musical hitting the stage for a limited run in December of 2022. So let's get to know a little bit more about him and their new musical, new Mexican musical, Desaparecidas, right now. Hey, Jaime, how are you?
Hola, John Paul. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. Busy, like juggling a lot, working a lot, trying to stay busy and have fun at the same time.
Fantastic.
Doing great. Thank you.
No problem. And like I said, Florencia, last time I had an interview with her, I apologize for every time I mispronunciate your name and get things wrong. So
don't worry. I struggle with English and with no. So we are all learning. We are all learning.
Awesome. Well, before we get into talking about the show itself, I always want to get to know the person a little bit better. So who is Jaime in 30 seconds? Give us the 30-second bio of you.
Oh, 30 seconds. That's fast. Well,
yes.
I would say I am a Mexican immigrant storyteller based in New York City, a father, a husband, a team player, someone who really loves telling stories, writing music and telling stories.
Fantastic. Now, have you always been into theater or musical theater when you were a kid, or was that something you discovered a little bit later in life?
Actually, not when I was a kid. I didn't have any. No one in my family do anything related with arts at all. And I was supposed to study criminology, actually.
Oh,
yeah. I actually applied for the school. I got accepted, and when I was supposed to enroll to start classes, I decided to not to enroll, and I took a sabbatic year. And next year, I was enrolling in music school. I was already 18 years old. So, and I didn't have any a formal training before that. I used to play in a church choir, guitar a little bit when I was 17, 16. And that was my only approach to music and to any related with the arts before. And yeah, I like to say that I'm someone who just, I'm more than a dreamer, I'm a doer. I just do things. I have something in my mind. I think about something and right away I go and do it. Of course, because of that, I do a lot of mistakes. but yeah, and that's how I get to New York City, and that's how I'm doing musical theater now here, because one thing just takes to the other one. It's just like taking decisions, making choices.
Wow, that's incredible that you started so late in life deciding to do, what you're doing now and where you've come already. So that's congratulations on that. That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
No
yeah,
problem.
because usually like music composers, they start playing piano when they are 5 years old.
Yeah.
Our song is 6 years old, and he started to play piano a year ago. We're trying to teach that to him. And he really loves it. It's not like we are imposing anything to him. But I didn't have the chance to do that, but that's why I realized that I needed to make over for the time that I kind of lost before. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about this new musical that you've written. Tell us a little bit about the plot and the synopsis of the show. What's it about?
So Desaparecidas is since I started to write music, actually my first musical I wrote it when I was 20 years old. So I started writing musicals just 2 years later, 2 years after I started studying music, like something like that. And it was about a very different topic that you usually see in musicals. At that time, my first musical was about a genocide in Mexico, a student genocide in Mexico. It had some political plot and all that. So I'm saying this because since then I knew that I wanted to tell stories that were different, to do a musical theater that not necessarily is telling, like, because we are used to these American or British stories, to this huge musical like Jesus Christ Superstar, Les Mis, Cats. That's like our first reference, and more in a country when we don't have a lot of musical theater, like Mexico. So what I started trying to tell these stories that were related with things that were happening in my country. This new musical, Desaparecidas, first we got inspired by some very unfortunate events that happened in Ciudad Juarez back in 1990s, when there were a lot of feminicides in Ciudad Juarez. Desaparecidas means like the lost one or the missing ones. So in this musical, we are telling the story about strong women and their lives, because we don't want to focus on the side of the femicides, or in these sad events. What we want to do is to honor these women, and to honor their lives, and to honor their struggle and their fight to survive. So the musical is telling the story of these women on the border, some of them trying to cross to have a better life, some of them staying in Ciudad Juarez, raising their kids, but all of them struggling and fighting to find a better life.
Very nice. It sounds so interesting. Congratulations on the show.
Thank you. And we have it's only 5 female actors.
Mm-hmm.
And we are very proud to have an all Mexican female cast. We have five Mexican excellent actors. Some of them born in the United States, some of them immigrants, some of them first or second generation. Florencia, my wife, she's writing with me, because when I started writing the show, I was doing the lyrics originally, and then I knew that something was wrong. I didn't want to write the lyrics just by myself, because obviously I wanted to do it in the right way, and I didn't want to take ownership of something that it wasn't mine. So when I was writing the first song, I'm always collaborating with my wife, and I was asking my wife, "Oh, Florencia, what does it rhyme with this, or what do you think about this line?" And then I realized, wait, more than just asking her for advice, I should bring her as part of the team. So we wrote the songs together, and she is directing and acting in the show. So it's a huge deal for her, doing this show.
She's going to be busy, for
yes.
sure.
More than usual, yes.
So what made you want to write the show? What was that moment that you decided to create this musical?
I have been raised by a matriarch. That's the way that you say it.
Matriarch, yes.
Matriarch. I mean, to be honest with you, my father was an alcoholic. He quit drinking like 20 years ago, but he was an alcoholic for almost 50 years. So I was raised by my mom and her sisters all the time. Her sisters were the ones paying for school for me. They were the ones, buying me clothes, like cooking, like teaching me. I was around a very strong female presence all when I was growing up. And in the other side, Florencia is also the same. Her dad passed away when she was 8 years old. And her mom raised her by herself, with her grandmother, and she also has this big female presence in her life. And her family, by her mom's side, is from Ciudad Juarez. So for many years, I was interested to tell this story. But it's very tricky because obviously the subject is very unusual, and it's not an easy one. It's not an easy one. And when we decided to write the show, we got accepted into there's a non-profit theater organization in New York City called the Civilians, that they do a lot of investigative research theater. So we did a 1-year residency with them writing the show, and we start interviewing via Zoom, because it was during the pandemic, a lot of people from Ciudad Juarez and women related with the issues. Some of them, Florencia's grandma, that she was a nurse and used to work in a maquiladora, that is this big like fabric when women were working like assembling clothes or assembling electronics, that the Americans used to set in Ciudad Juarez because it was cheaper. So we learned a lot about the dynamic in this kind of businesses, and how they treated the women, and how was all the politics. And with all these interviews, we create the show. I mean, it's based in real human beings, in real persons, in real women.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And the fact that you said you took advantage of the pandemic as well to build this and talk to people. I know a lot of people, wasn't able to take advantage of that time off. And so great on you for, doing the research and talking to people about the show. Let's talk a little bit about the performers in the show. That's exciting that you have 5 women of either Mexican heritage or in the show. Tell us a little bit about the actresses and who they are and how you found them.
Yeah, I mean, we did audition. We auditioned, but I mean, we are very active in the musical theater community here in New York City. We have been working a lot during the last years. I even have a project called Jaime Lozano and the Familia. And the Familia is this group of Latinx, Latinos performers singing my songs. We have done concerts at Lincoln Center, 54 Below, many places. Every time sold out and all that. And so we know the community very well. I mean, we know a lot of actors from all different Latina backgrounds. And we start like reaching out to people, like asking them to audition, and we didn't do like open audition. We try to reach to that people that we know, or that we maybe not directly, but that we know that they were there. Oh, have you heard about this girl that he's, and then we reach to them, we send the material. There's a girl actually from Ciudad Juarez, that she studied there at El Paso, at UTEP, the University of El Paso, and she auditioned and she got in the show. And I think it's a very big deal that we're telling the stories of the people from this specific city, and we had the honor that a girl from that town, it's helping us to shape the stories and to tell the stories. We have another actress who actually is coming from Mexico, that she has done like a lot of like a big Frank White theater, like The Producers, John Frankenstein. She's Cecilia Cantú. The girl from El Paso is Larissa Reyes. Of course, my wife, who is acting and is writing with me. And one of the characters is based in her grandma. I mean, it's like all. I believe that to tell a story, the first thing that you need to tell a story is to be honest. And definitely that's something that we are doing in every single work that we are, in every single story that we're telling. And that's why we really fight to find this all Mexican cast, because we have other great options. And we start like thinking, oh, do we really need to go in that direction? No, let's try to find someone else. Let's try to find. So because we really want to honor and to be honest with what we're doing. We also have the book writer, Georgina Escobar. She's also from Ciudad Juarez.
Oh, wow.
So she's bringing another layer of authenticity to the story. Who else? We have Sara Ornelas, who is a first generation daughter of immigrants, that small world, her dad is from Monterrey. That is my hometown. And we just realized that in the second rehearsal.
Wow.
So it's just, and her dad is the brother of a family that I know really well in Mexico, that they are singing teachers. They have a singing school. They are musicians. I mean, and it's this thing that you never expect, and it always happens when there's this good energy in the room and you look for the right people. And these kind of coincidences and this kind of like events always happen to us, that we realize that we are connected to these people in many ways, you know, more than just getting cast to do this show. Then you realize that, oh wait, but you know, you're coming from this and that. And that we took that as signs from the universe, or from God, or from the from energy, whatever you believe in, and we're happy that all these people is telling these stories. It's helping us to tell these stories, you know.
Yeah, it's incredible how big the world is, yet so small. That that all these little things, these interconnectivity between all of you, just happen to be in the same town, or people, or whatever. That's incredible. And I also want to say that I love the fact, like you mentioned, we're inundated with American musicals and British musicals. We need the musical theater world is more than just that, and I'm so glad that you're bringing the Mexican voice to musical theater. We need more diversity within the musical theater world.
Yeah, and a lot of some people actually ask me, oh, so this is the only story that you can tell, or this is the only music that you can write? Because I mean, they like to put people in boxes or labels and all that. And actually, I can write any kind of music, and I can tell any kind of story, any kind of fiction story. But my answer is, right now, in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I consider my mission that I want to tell these kind of stories, because no one else is doing it. I mean, we need to, or maybe more people is trying also, but we need to do it so we can get all together and expose and be able to find venues and to find ways to tell these stories. And eventually, I believe that there's going to be a moment, we're going to get there, when on Broadway, Off-Broadway, regional, all around the country and all around the world, you're not going to need to label if you're seeing a Mexican story, a Latin story, an American story. It's going to be so, what is the word? So common to just go and see the stories and enjoy a story without need of putting a label. Because at the end, all the stories are universal. And yes, we relate with that because we found a lot of specificity on those stories. But then I have found like people from let's say Japan, or from India, or from France, that they came and see one of these stories that are very Mexican, and they say, oh, that's my story, that's the story of my family, in their own country, on their own immigrant journey. And I think that at the end, that's the goal, that we all can relate with any kind of story, but we need to be open and give the chance to these stories.
Yeah. You're so correct. Love, pain, hate, and whatever, it's all universal, and it doesn't matter what, where what sound of the music or anything, the language or anything like that. You're so right. Everybody feels the same things.
Yeah, and we realize, and that way we realize that we are more, that we have more things in common than what we think, because we think that we are very different because we speak different languages, or we look different, but at the end, we are all connected, and that same things move us, and we have like very similar experiences, and that is what this world should be more about the community, about being together, respecting our difference and being aware of our difference, but respecting and embracing those,
100%. 100%. So let's let's talk about the where, the how, the everything. So when is the show going up? Where can people see it, and how can people learn more about it?
Yes, so we're gonna be performing at this beautiful experimental theater in Brooklyn that is called Jack Theater. I don't know. Let me see if I can find that is on Putman Avenue in Brooklyn, and we're gonna be performing the first 3 weekends of December, starting December 2nd. It is actually my birthday. So we're starting December 2nd that weekend, and the next 2 weekends we're gonna have performances. It's only for now. It's only 9 performances, with the possibility to open 2, 3 more, because we are already because it's a small place. It's a very experimental, minimalist theater in Brooklyn, and it's selling out fast. So we are maybe opening a few more performances. But yeah, the last show is the 18th, December 18th. From the 2nd, every 2 weekends till Sunday, December 18th.
Fantastic. We've been promoting it on our social media, making sure people know that. Congratulations on the show. All the best with the run, and I look forward to hearing from you once it's gone up and seeing where it goes in the future. Jaime, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today.
No, thank you. It is a pleasure. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see all your audience, those who can join us, to see them there in the theater.
Fantastic. We were just speaking with Jaime Lozano about the new musical Desaparecidas. Again, I apologize for everybody why I said it wrong or not. Tune in next week as we'll speak with another guest or a guest about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.